woodpecker right there in the center.
Hello, just wanted to do a real quick video, sort of quick, let everyone know that I am okay. Still no heat with the diesel heater. Done videos about that, and my gas is low, food non-existent, usual stuff, but that's not what this video is about. I want to do a more of an informative, educational type of video for people who are heading out into the backcountry, the wilderness, whatever you want to call it. And there's a lot of different things that, especially people who have no experience in the backcountry, we use that descriptive, they don't know. So hopefully this video kind of gives some insight. My focus is going to be on fire, and then I guess a secondary would be fire pit, and I just briefly kind of touch on cooking over fire pit. So hopefully you find some informative information. There's a lot of things that I can talk about, and I probably will in the videos to come. And like one of the things that had come to mind as well after is when you're on the trails. So when you're on, for example, on a trunk road, an old logging road, you know, there's kind of like unwritten codes of conduct with regards to that. And especially when you're on the trails, the misconception is the bigger rigs, vehicles, have the right of way. Not always the case. Most of the time, what happens is, for example, if you're in a truck, you're truck camping and so forth, you let the smaller guys go by, like the dirt bikes, the quads, the side-by-sides. You just stop, let them get by because they're smaller, they can negotiate. Plus, you don't want to hold them up because they're a lot faster than the trucks. If you're in a truck and there's a bigger truck in front of you, say even like a logging truck, say they're on a narrow trail, what should happen is if you can back up, you back up. If you pull over, pull over. That's a given on any situation, right? But if that's not possible, then what you do is the little guy, the truck, not the logging truck, will try to get by him. And that way, the logging truck, in this example, just continues on. It's a lot easier for the smaller guys to go around and negotiate a trail, especially when it's really confined, than a bigger one. So anyway, just something like that to think about. And what else can I mention? You gotta watch the weather, always watch the skies, and especially off in the distance. If you're by the mountains, what's going on the mountains will tell you, or should tell you, what's going to be happening with you real soon. If you're out like in the prairies or something, you can see the sky for forever away. So, you know, little things like that, always keep an eye on what's happening around you. Especially when you're in the backcountry, the wilderness, a lot of people, city folk, they come out, they think it's like going through a park or even a provincial park. You always have to have your head on a swivel. If you're, say, hiking down a trail, you know, every 50, 100, 200 feet, stop, turn around, and check the trail. Most of all, check the sides of the trail, because if there is a predator or a crazy person, they will try to come at you, not necessarily on the trail, but they'll come off the sides and try to flank you or something. Always look around, and you know, for predators and everything else, especially when you're cooking. When you're cooking, you know, always make sure, because there's bears. Bears can smell like for miles and miles away. You gotta watch out for bears, wolves, and this all depends on where you are geographically. But generally speaking, you know, there's going to be some predators out there, and when you watch out for cougars, chances are they're going to be up in a tree above you somewhere. So always check the trees for predators, and you know, always keep an eye out. And this is where a lot of people, city people, they come out, want to be one with nature, forgetting, not even knowing that everything out in nature wants to kill you or could kill you. So you have to be very vigilant on what's happening around you. Snakes is another thing, and spiders and everything else. So just things to think about. So hopefully this video you're going to find informative about fire. All right, so I thought I'd show you how I go about making a fire. Now those are really dry twigs. They work awesome. If I don't have that, then if I have some smaller chunks of wood like that there, I will make kindling out of it to start the fire. And I want to show you a tool. I don't know how many people know about it, but that tool right there, if you're going to go into the backcountry, the wilderness, or whatever, I strongly recommend equipping yourself with that tool. The handles do extend to give you more leverage, and it is awesome. Because of my disabilities, that is my go-to tool for cutting up stuff like that. And I've actually cut rounds maybe about 3.5 inches with that thing. I don't extend the handle because I don't want to break that, but you can see when I did that a bunch of times, the very tip got a little bit bent, but it still works fine. But I strongly recommend using that. I'm going to get back to you after I have those little pieces cut up and I get the fire going. So I got my fire going. I'd like to say that I went all Survivor Man with Les Stroud when I started my fire, but nope. I used a fat stick, fat wood, or starter stick, whatever you want to call them, to get the fire going. And you can see how that's coming up real nice. And I got that all chopped up because of that tool right there. And depending on where you are, you can scavenge for firewood if other people, backpackers or off-roaders, or even people in the backcountry just doing a day camp or something, they'll leave wood behind at a campsite. And when I can, I will do the same. When I leave a campsite, I will leave my extra wood. So the next person that comes along has some wood to start with. Usually it's all cut up and everything else because I have the time to do it. But keep that in mind rather than trying to bring your own or start from scratch. There's always wood kicking around, especially things like that, which you can cut up with that within minutes. That thing is awesome. I strongly recommend it. This particular brand, by the way, in case anyone's interested, is Fiskars. There's other brands that like it. They're pretty cheap. Apparently they don't last. That's the best brand. I recommend that to anyone. So I'm gonna put some more wood on that fire, and you'll see that in the next video clip. So I'm going to keep adding wood to this fire, build it up, and then I can throw some bigger stuff on. And yeah, by the way, I made the fire pit there. So now I'm not dissing people who use flint sticks, you know, the little striker sticks that cause a spark, and you got to do it on pretty much powder to get it going. I do have that. Have I used it? Yeah, kind of, sort of, yeah. I mean, if Survivor Man standards, yeah, he'd probably have a good laugh, but I do have that as a backup. Devin Stack of Black Pill did a survival video, and by the way, I did one about 12 years ago now. Anyway, Devin Stack said just buy bags of butane lighters. It's you know it's going to work. So anyway, in a couple of bucks you get
half a dozen, buy a bunch of those. You don't have to worry about trying to start a fire. Well, maybe you do. I don't know what your skill set is, but anyway. So yeah, I just wanted to share all that. I got to add some more. Push that all in. Start adding this stuff, and I got some bigger stuff to the left of me that I scavenged. And yeah, see you in the next clip. So this is Backcountry TV. All you have to do is keep feeding it, and that's the remote, just like you have for a normal TV. So as I finish up these little clips here, well, especially if you're in a survival mode like I am, and you want to conserve energy, you want to scavenge as much. For example, like that firewood there, I have some more big pieces there someone left behind. You want to scavenge as much as you can like that, just to save your energy, save time, and you don't want to wear out your tools. Like if you have a chainsaw or a bow saw or some sort of saw, an axe and hatchet, every time you use it, you're wearing it out. So if you can scavenge, it also saves you wear and tear on your tools that you have to sharpen. And also saves you on gas when it comes to your chainsaw and oil and everything else that goes along with it. So yeah, I just thought I'd wrap this up a little bit. Kind of a mess here with how I laid the logs, but oh, whatever. Just want to get the fire going, get some coals going. Now here's a couple of tips. I don't know what everyone's skill set is or what level they have. I'm by no means no expert. You want to watch Survivor Man. I like the guy. Has some good content. And he even did Survivor Man Bigfoot. Ooh, I said Bigfoot, so I'm going to lose some subscribers. I know that much. Anyway, you want to find dry wood, and even if you're going to cut it, if you can find wood that's off the ground, let's say a tree has fallen, if it's been off the ground for a long time, it's going to be nice and dry. Wood that you would find, say, laying like this, if it's been laying like that for even a year or two, it's going to absorb the moisture from the ground, and it's going to burn like crap. It's going to smoke a lot. So if you can find wood that hasn't been sitting on the ground for too long, it will burn really nice. Like for example, those twigs that I had and those other ones that I cut up with that tool, it was nice and dry because it wasn't touching the ground. And you could actually, the smaller stuff you could just snap with your hands. If I can do it with my hands the way they are, then anyone can. If you find green wood, that stuff, don't even bother trying to burn it unless you're totally desperate, because green wood is, yeah, it just will smoke and terrible. So if you have a whole pile of hot coals and you have some green wood, then you could throw it on top, you know, but as long as you mix it in with the dry stuff, yeah, you could burn it. It will still smoke, but at least it's not trying to just burn all green wood. I'm trying to think what else I can mention for tips here with regards to building a fire. A lot of people, here's something that I, especially last year, really found out: when you get to really deep sub-zero temperatures, you know, you want to build a fire to keep warm. The colder it is, the harder it is to build a fire, especially if you're at minus 40. That's when you really need the fire. The density of the cold air will actually snuff out the fire. It's a bit of a trick. And I've been able to, say in rainstorms and stuff, start and maintain a fire through thunderstorms. It's just a matter of how you stack your wood, what kind of wood you're stacking. Keep the coals going, keep the fire going inside. And when the storm's over, then all you have to do is just kind of pull everything away, and you have your fire, and just add some nice dry wood to it. Now, mind you, if the storm is like lasting days and nights and it's really heavy, well, it's going to put out the fire. And especially if it's pooling up, the water's pooling up inside there, yeah. But if there's no water pooling, you could still salvage it. These are all tricks that skill sets that most people don't have, and they're very important, especially for survival. Anyway, am I done rambling here? I think so. So yeah, I'm just going to sit here now by the fire, because currently I don't have a diesel heater working. So rather than run the engine, I'm going to build this fire up real nice and stay nice and warm. Can you feel the heat? Oh, wish you were here. So literally not even half an hour after I finished my last clip on this particular fire that I have made, I had a subscriber comment on my previous video asking if I can make fire. What are the odds? Of course I can. I just thought it was a coincidence, that comment. And here's some more wood that I managed to scavenge. And that's the fire that I'm going to be sitting beside now. It's starting to drizzle. It's supposed to snow today. It might still. But right now it's just drizzle, so it's kind of miserable to be sitting outside. Having a fire is good when it's not snowing or drizzling or raining. But in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy this, and if it gets too bad, well, I'll just go inside my vehicle, and hopefully I'll get to show you how you can make a fire keep going when the weather is really bad. So just a couple of little points in case people don't know is, if you have food and you're going to cook it over a fire, you don't cook it over an open flame. Although you can, in a pinch, you want to cook it over coals. So if you look into the fire there where it's all red hot, those are red hot coals. And that's what you want to cook over. You will cook evenly and you won't burn anything as if you will, cook over a flame. Now the other thing I want to mention are these things. Rocks. Now, if you pull rocks, say for example, out of a river and build a fire pit, chances are they will explode. And when they do, and they hit you, it can hurt. Even cold rocks could do that. So my point is, if you're going to make a fire pit, you want to find rocks that are on dry land, that or even been used before. That way you don't have to worry as much anyway of them exploding. Now they can crack, and they will. And if you look at, I'm just trying to find a piece here. So this piece here was from a bigger piece, and it had cracked and fell apart. And I'll show you over here. I was grabbing this one. This was one piece, and I dropped it and it shattered. It became fragile because somebody else had used it and became fragile. So just things to think about. If you have no experience in the backcountry or the wilderness, You want to cook over coals. Try to get another shot in here, that red hot stuff. And you want to make sure your rocks are dry as possible. Yes, rocks do absorb moisture. And that's about it. So this will be the last video on these little clips about fire. Hope you enjoyed. Oh, one more thing about fire. At night, if you set your fire pit to smolder, not flame or anything, but just smolder, you'll be able to keep predators and, prey as well away from your camp, because their instinct is to stay away from fire. And if they smell smoke, 99% chance they won't come close. Now, there was a time where my little fox buddy, he didn't mind it. He see me sitting, and he came within 10 feet, looked at the fire, looked at me, and carried on his way. So there's the exception, but I got to know him, so maybe that's why he felt safe. Anyway, so here's an old fire pit. Someone made a huge one. It was a mess full of junk, and that was just a mess. So I cleaned it up. I should have taken a video so I could show it before. But you see how I tidied this all up, and I piled the rocks there, so somebody wants to come along in the future and build another fire pit, they can. And try to clean this up into a pile. You can see everything was scattered. So I just try to clean up. Try to leave places better than what I found it.
So hopefully you got something from this video. And again, I'm going to try to do other videos talking about different things. A lot of people, especially when they're doing van life, I'm noticing more and more videos of them venturing out into the backcountry, which is awesome. And a lot of people don't plan on going on smaller and smaller trails, like say off a trunk road, a logging road. They might go down a smaller logging road, and before people know it, they start to get hooked on venturing off a little bit deeper, a little bit further. And if you're geared properly, if you have the proper gear, then great. If you're not, don't be overconfident, because you can get stuck. You can, especially if you have bad tires. If you just have street tires, even on logging roads, dirt roads even, the sharp rocks can shred your tires. And the less traveled trails that you go on, the more possibility of that happening. So if you're going to venture out, it's best to kind of venture out with somebody else in case something does happen. But if you're alone, just be extra cautious. If you're having street tires, I don't know, it's your call on how far you want to go, but don't be overconfident. So anyway, I'm going to try to do some videos about this kind of stuff. If you like these kind of videos, let me know, and I will continue sharing what I know about this, being out in the outback, survival, etc. And yeah, so I'll catch you on the next video.
Morning fire.